in this country, and in this state in particular, is affected by how many people are in a specific region. And they count prisoners as residents of areas in upstate New York that had they not been there, they would not have enough people to constitute a senator or assemblyman. So lynching then and lynching now, they did this. I read a thing that Lincoln, President Lincoln, criticized, then the Democratic Party. American politics is very confusing, isn't it? For doing that same thing, counting its slaves, and yet not giving them the right to vote. So we are not really in a democracy when we see things of that nature occurring. Lynching then, lynching now. Myself, I spent 2.5 years in New York State Death House. At the age of like 16, I joined the Black Panther Party, and I joined because I wanted to stand up against injustice, and I felt that my people were being treated unjust, and they were fighting back, and I wanted to fight back. I started out fighting back, setting up breakfast programs, because in Brown versus Board of Education, John Henry Clark and his research indicated that if children go to school hungry, they were less likely to learn. We had clothing programs, because they said if children went to school in tattered clothing, that they would be embarrassed, and that would affect their ability to learn. We gave instructions on Black history, African American history, because it was indicated in the report that if children went to school and did not see themselves in books, they didn't see Benjamin Banneker and Hannibal and other notable African Americans who have made contributions to development, social development. So this is what I did. And then I used to teach martial arts in IS 55 and 271 in Ocean Hill, Brownsville. And that was the seat of the community control movement. And I used to teach martial arts in the afternoon class. And I was approached about getting involved in a group whose task it was to rid the community of drugs. I mean, now, I was young and, energetic, and my mind was, well, bring it on, And so I joined. And on one of the 5th excursions that we call them raids, we raided drug drop spots. A gentleman who said he was a courier, who just got out of jail, said he was a courier for a mafioso family, knew where drug drop spots occurred. So this is what we did. We raided. And on the 5th one, in August 21st, 1971, 2 of my comrades went in to do surveillance. Yeah, we used to watch I Spy. Bill Cowley was my man, my mentor. And he went in to do surveillance, and I heard gunshots. And I ran to the door, and one of my comrades bumped up against me, and he grunted. And I knew something was wrong, but the circumstances were happening so fast because there was a gentleman standing there, European American in plain clothing, with a gun in his hand, and it was pointed at me. And I don't know what you call it, but as fate would happen, he pitched over and fell forward. Seeing I was no longer in threat of being shot or killed, I went to see what was happening with my comrade. And my comrade was laying out. He had been shot in the shoulder. But as I bent down, the tree that I bent down in front of exploded. There were people shooting at me. And I mean, to me, this is, you know, in hindsight, this was an ambush. However, being shot at, my training came in, and I had to leave my comrade. I grew up with this young man. He was probably the only person I knew that I grew up with. I was alone. And two weeks later, I mean, next morning came on the TV, said off-duty police officer got shot in a store robbery, attempted store robbery, this kind of stuff here. And 2 weeks later, a week later, I got arrested at the Canadian border. I was taken to a state trooper barracks. I was beaten. I can't even describe the beating because my nerve endings just shut down. It was so terrible. I remember waking up. I don't know if they drugged me or what, but I remember waking up on a plane a day later, coming off a plane. They were carrying me down the steps, and newspaper reporters was click, click, clack, clack, bang, 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 boom. I was assigned attorney, and no matter how I tried to tell the attorney, you know, that, oh, well, we was involved, he was saying, no, that ain't gonna do nothing to get you convicted. So we went with his story. We twisted and turned and spent things to try and get out. I had come in contact with law at that time, and the old law said basically that a person who was unarmed and who was unarmed and even in the course of a robbery could not be, you know, convicted of murder. However, I was convicted of murder and sentenced to death. Called a new law, felony murder law. But at any rate, I was convicted and sentenced to death. A year after I was in the death house, the district attorney in my case, I'm by an all-white jury, all male, average age 55, out of Queens County. A year after I was in prison, sitting in the death house, waiting to die, the district attorney in my case, Mr. Gordillo, was indicted and disbarred for taking bribes from organized criminals. A year and a half after I was in the death house, the judge in my case was cited in a New Yorker magazine article by Jack Newman as being one of the 10 worst judges in New York State because of his favoritism to organized criminals. The lawyer who was assigned to my case, Mr. Sidney G. Sparrow, out of Sparrow and Sparrow in Queens, New York, was a lawyer who was noted to frequent organized crime clients. I took that to court. They said I was being conclusatory. Well, that's the first time I heard the word. But, you know, the point here is that I was a young 19-year-old kid, and I didn't believe that any 12 adults, you know, could do what those 12 adults did. It was shocking. It was a wake-up call. It was allegedly supposed to be my last wake-up call. But I'm here today with you because of people like yourself, people who come out and show interest and try to make a difference in their society. While in the death house, I thought about the issues of life and death constantly. And I just came to the conclusion, and I definitely want to share this. If anything is unique to me, this is. I came to the conclusion that a constant bombardment of humanity with the freedom to kill and the acceptance of death, has sort of, we have lost almost completely our appreciation, value, and respect for life. And that's a profound thing to say. We look at the TV and say, oh, somebody got killed today. Or we hear that someone